Hello, and welcome to another gangliolicious episode of...
Oh, man. Oh, no. Oh, that's gross.
Let me start over. The ganglia is part of your brain. Okay, welcome to another gangliolicious episode of We Only Look Thin.
Oh, my goodness.
A delicious
that is
brains.
So gross.
You know, all the zombies in the audience are appreciating the ganglioliciousness.
Oh, that's true. That's
we
true.
Can't... Okay, wait.
All the zombies I've talked to have said that the ganglia is the tastiest part of the brain.
Yeah. Hello, you have welcome. No, I was going to do like a voicemail message. This is We Only Look Thin. We're a podcast. Hello.
We're off to a great start. I'm
Catherine Weigel. I am one of your hosts. I am a Tiny Habits certified coach, a Thrive Global certified coach.
Yeah.
I've lost over 100 pounds, not eating brains, and
just abstain from brain eating. That's all you need. That's one weird trick.
Yep. And with me today is Gangliolicious
Donald Weigel, and I. Oh my God, gangliolicious.
It sounds like Fergalicious, doesn't it? Like
it kind of does.
Tooth.
I work brains into my plan in a moderate way. We've talked about moderation and planning and all the P's. I plan for my brains. I pump up the volume. I add veggies and fruit to them. My name is Donald Weigel. I have lost about 100 pounds. I've kept it off for 6.5 years.
You're enthusiastic about it.
I am enthusiastic about it and about ganglia and about brains.
We are, and we are in a very spooky month. We have said it before, and we will say it again. Nothing spookier than the month of October.
I mean, like, tax season's pretty spooky also in April, but otherwise October's got it, like, the spookiness is nailed down.
It is on
Like, there's
point.
not really a close second.
Nope, not at all. And what is very spooky are Halloween movies.
Oh,
we haven't watched too many of those recently.
Not yet.
But we love Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. We're not going to talk about that today, but it's a delightful holiday treat.
It certainly is.
But I think one of the most popular horrifying movies of the century, or this last century, is The Exorcist.
Oh, man, it sure is.
I heard, I was not around for it, but I'm pretty sure they kept ambulances outside of movie theaters because it was going to be so shocking.
Yeah, I've also heard that was a marketing ploy by the studio, that they really did do that, but it was like they wanted people to think that they would be so scared that there would be ambulances standing by. It's just pretty smart when you think about it.
But when you use your brains, your noggin, to market something, right?
Yeah.
You want it to be sensational. You gotta really drive it home. You gotta be sensational. Well, and whether it was sensational or not, what it did was highlight how fantastic the church is at exorcising your demons.
Yeah.
Right? Some people have demons that come from heck-a-doodle-doo. And you can have a priest come to your house with his little bucket, his little basket of tricks that he does to be like, hey, you old demon, scoot.
Right. He's got a bucket, and it's full of tricks.
A bucket full of tricks. It sounds like that.
Demon exercising tricks bucket.
Yeah.
And you get it at Home Depot.
I saw the PG. They did like Exorcist Junior at my school. So it's like exercising demons and exercising illiteracy. I don't know what they were doing, but they were trying to be like,
the real demon is illiteracy.
What a bummer. But we all know, thanks to movies and television, that demons can be exorcised. But some people have, like I said, the demons from Heck-a-Doodle-Doo.
Right.
Other people have demons in the form of snacks. And nobody knows what to do about demon snacks.
Yeah, like I've tried calling the Catholic Church to get them to exorcise the snack problem that I have, and they didn't take it very well.
They were not, they put you on hold and then just didn't.
It was a lot of hold music and then no one picked up. And
they ghosted you?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. They ghosted me. And so I instead of calling a snacksercist,
yes,
we have turned to brain power.
Brains.
To
so our
science.
friends in zombie science?
To science. No.
Science?
I'm going to give you the credit. Found an article on Psychology Today from a neuroscientist, a scientist of the brain, Alex Korb, PhD.
I thought you were going to say his name was Abby Normal.
Abby Normal. That's right.
Our very, very good scientist friend, Abby Normal.
That's right. We've installed the brain of Abby Normal. And Mr. Korb has written an article, or Dr. Korb has written an article, 7 brain tips to cut down on snacking. This is on Psychology Today, and I will link to it in the show notes.
But before we get started, he's got 7, but we always have to trump someone, don't we, Donald? We always have to trump, and we're going to go into the Wayback Machine.
Right.
We're going into the Wayback Machine. Jump in, everybody. Jump aboard. We're going back to the tip of the week.
Tip of the week to you.
Tip of the week to you.
Yeah, this is as we are fast approaching Halloween. This is our annual reminder that Halloween is only one day.
One day.
October 31st. That is the day when you or your kids go around in costume and get candy from strangers.
And call it
Halloween candy.
Halloween candy. I'm eating Halloween candy. You eat Halloween candy on October 31st.
If you are going to Costco and buying the giant-sized bag of the Halloween candy to hand out on Halloween, and then you open it and start eating it early,
you're trying to see, is it good? Is it fresh? I want the kids to have fresh candy, don't I?
You're just eating candy.
You're just eating candy. It's Monday candy.
Like, calling it Halloween candy seems to be some sort of mental excuse, a loophole that we invoke in order to give ourselves permission to indulge. Well, it's Halloween season.
It's the spirit of Halloween.
We're going to eat. Or it's November 1st. It's November 2nd. It's November 4th. And we're still eating that Halloween candy because we don't want it to go to waste. We can't possibly throw it out or let somebody else eat it. We just need to eat all of that Halloween candy. Just a reminder.
Don't.
This is a loophole. You are lying to yourself about this. Halloween candy is only Halloween candy on Halloween. If you're eating it other times, you're just eating candy. Not that we're saying you can't ever eat candy. We're just saying don't trick yourself into eating a whole bag of it because it's the Halloween season.
Exactly. And you are not going to find top-notch advice like that on Psychology Today from doctors like Abby Normal.
That's right.
They think neuroscience is the cure to everything.
That's right.
Ha,
exactly. So speaking of...
Anyway, so don't eat candy, but call it what it is and track it. Thank you.
That's right. Call it what it is and track it. Okay, so 7 tips on cutting down on snacking. Now, Mr. Alex Korb.
Dr.
Alex Korb. I did it again.
Snackicist.
says in the article that he is a naturally thin person. That he is writing this because he has a problem with snacking, but it's not a weight problem. So just to say up front, there's a lot of things in this article I don't like how he says them. He definitely says them. He definitely says them in a way as somebody who's never had a weight problem would say them. But there's also a lot of great advice in this. And one of the things that he talks about are a couple of different parts of the brain. And I'm not going to do sort of a deep dive. If you're interested, you can read the article. Again, I'll link to it in the show notes. But he talks about the basal ganglia. Or basal ganglia.
Basal.
Yeah. This is a part of the brain that controls your habits. And then there's also another part of your brain called the insula, which is part of the temporal lobe. And it is responsible for you being able to interpret how you're feeling or know how you're feeling.
I'm still working on that. I do not trust my feelings.
Exactly. And so not to get into a deep dive on brain science, but then he goes into making points about ways that you can get over snacking. And one of them is to drink water because maybe you're thirsty.
I'm so thirsty.
We're throwing that one out because I've been hearing that my whole life, and I have never been able to like curb my snacking habits by drinking anything.
No.
However, there are a lot of great tips in this article. And the first one is to calm down. What does that mean? That means that maybe you are not actually hungry. Maybe you're just stressed out.
No doy.
Yeah.
I know. That's like my whole life has just been about that, my guy. I didn't need to go to neuroscience school to learn that.
Well, however, for me, it was actually a big revelation when I realized that it seems obvious in hindsight, but I was eating a lot of food over and over again to soothe myself, to make myself feel better about things because, hey, I'm stressed out. Hey, somebody said something I didn't like to me. Hey, I got cut off in traffic. Like, hey, that person is being really stubborn at work. And what would I do? I would eat about it.
Yeah.
I would eat food instead of addressing the problem, instead of actually working on reducing my stress or working on my boundaries of cutting people out of my life or saying things to people that would help me relax, or just even, doing things like exercising or yoga or things like that, or meditating that would help reduce my stress. Getting better sleep helps reduce my stress. Rather than eating about it has really helped me to stop snacking in order to soothe my feelings with food.
Right. So he talks about that fight or flight that we feel, but a lot of times that extra F that we have in there is food. Fight, flight, or food.
Yeah,
so we flee to the food. Don't do that. He suggests rest and digest. And part of that in this toolbox. Okay, so we had the priest, delightful, with his bucket, with his holy water.
The priest tool bucket, for exorcising demons from Heck-a-Doodle-Doo. Yeah.
My grandmother's family is Catholic, so again, we're not trying to be sacrilegious. We're just saying that maybe it's not the habit. So, okay, so this doctor comes in with, again, his holy water. Drink it. No, I don't have a drinking problem. It's fine. It tells you to calm down. So calm down, everybody. And his toolbox, instead of a bucket, is actually the prefrontal cortex. That's what he carries around with him. That is his secret power.
The human brain.
The human brain.
He doesn't use holy water. He uses the human brain.
Right. So number one was calm down. Number two is distract yourself. When we are feeling bored, when we don't have anything, what am I going to do? I don't have anything going on. You know what? I'll snack about it and see how that works.
Yeah.
That has never worked for me.
And I do this all the time. I'd be like, what do I do now? Or I'm waiting for something to start, I'd be like, I know what I can do. I can go entertain myself by having a delightful snack right now.
Yeah, no, it's great. And I think there's part of our brain, that sort of lower part. He talks about the insula part of the brain, sort of that lower level of like, I'm bored, I want something to do, like, hey, how about some food? That sort of toddler part of our brain that just wants to be entertained. So the more we focus on not snacking, the more we're like, no, I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. All we're doing is thinking about snacking, but changing where you are, doing something else, getting away from the food, changing your focus can really help. So distracting, do it. That's what he says.
He does. And the next thing he says, and I don't love the way this is phrased, but he says, suck it up. And what does that mean? Well, look, we've all heard the sort of just do it, the exercise willpower, but that's not what he means in this case. What he's talking about is that your unconscious is very sneaky. And a lot of times, and I know I would do this a lot.
This is big for me.
I would eat as a form of procrastination. If I had a task that I didn't want to do, or I was getting frustrated with doing something, I would tell myself, I'm hungry. I'm going to go take a break and eat something in order to avoid doing this thing that I don't really want to be doing right now.
I would do that all of the time. I've got a big work project. You know what? I'm going to eat let me do that, and then I'll work on the project. And for me, actually, and I know I was just asked about intermittent fasting by someone. For me, waiting to eat at a certain time isn't about intermittent fasting. It's about reducing the chatter and noise that my brain makes to be like, hey, how about you eat now? What if you don't do the thing? What if you just eat? If I just say like, hey, you know what? I don't eat until after 10 a.m. That gives me the space to go like, oh, food isn't the answer right now.
Right.
Like I will do some work. Things are going to be fine. And then I'll eat after that. Because before I would definitely just keep going back to the fridge. Oh, maybe I'm just hungry. Oh, I think it's like what it was is just snacking.
Yeah. And, you know, he actually says, really give 10 minutes of sincere effort to your task and then really figure out if you've given sincere effort for at least 10 minutes and then really figure out if you're actually still hungry or if it really was you trying to procrastinate. Some other things that I do is I will jump on a rebounder for a few minutes first, or I will go for a quick walk. And also I'm still procrastinating from doing that task. But at least I'm not snacking in its place.
Yeah, I know Mary in Molt Place, We Only Look Thin Place, she has a policy of setting a 10-minute timer if she wants to go back for more for something.
Oh,
or if she's feeling snacky, she sets a 10-minute timer, commits to doing something else. And then oftentimes by the time the 10-minute timer has gone off, that like panicky urge, that lower brain, toddler brain thing has kind of passed. And so I try to do that as well. And it generally, for the most part, keeps me from going back and double dipping in double stuffed Oreos.
Oh, so, that's a really good idea. I like that.
So the next one is avoiding temptation is easier than resisting it. Again, when we're resisting, when we're holding our breath, when we're like, okay, I just won't eat the cookie that's sitting right in front of me, that is not the way to go. There have been studies that show, there was a study done where, you know, a kid is in a room. If you wait 10 minutes, you can eat this piece of chocolate, and then you'll get 2 pieces of chocolate if you wait. And the kids that just stared at the chocolate for 10 minutes ended up eating it. It was the kids that distracted themselves by doing something else that were actually successful. That kind of goes back to the number 2, the distract yourself. Don't go down the aisle with the cookies. If you don't have any reason to go down the aisle with cookies, don't go down the aisle with the cookies. Don't keep the snacks on the counter. Put them out of your eye line. When we can set our environments up for success by not having those foods that prompt inappropriate snack consumption right in front of us. Keep healthier foods, more attractive foods in front of you, and just put the other stuff at the back of the cabinet out of view. It can really help reduce that, because there's no temptation if it's not in the house. Like, don't keep it in the house if you can't control your portions.
Yeah, if there is something that you know that you just can't resist or can't resist yet, bringing home a giant bag of it is not going to serve you well. So, for me, one example is instead of a like Costco-sized bag of chips, I'll get those very small single servings that are about 150 calories a piece. And I know it is much harder for me, not that I can't go back and get more of those, but if I take a full-size bag and bring it to the couch, it is very difficult. It's going to be very hard for me to roll that back up, put the chip clip on it, take it back to the kitchen before I've eaten out of it. But if I just have a single serving bag, then it's a lot easier for me.
Well, and I'll take it a step farther, because Donald is better at moderating chips than I am. And so when I bring something into the house, sometimes I will literally only bring one single portion in.
Yeah.
So where Donald will buy a 12-pack of something that he can moderate, for me, when I go to the grocery store, I might buy a single bag of Pirate's Booty snack. One bag, 140 calories. That's as much caloric damage as I can do, is because there's only one in the house. There's one candy bar. There's one small container, single serving of ice cream. For me, that helps with my portion control, because sometimes I'm like, oh, well, there's just one more. I might as well just have another one right now and get it out of the house altogether. So
exactly.
Knowing what works for you is important. But like I said, it's much easier to avoid it if it's not in front of you. It's not like you're just going to go work in a candy factory. If you have a candy problem, work in a factory that has not delicious things.
That's right.
That's what I have to say about that.
And I'm a big fan of trying to work things that you love into your diet plan. But there may be times when you just have to put those things on pause and not bring them home and not have them, because you know time after time when you start eating them, you just can't stop. And so recognizing that is also important as well.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the next thing, when you do have snacks that you don't want to have, or just really in general, try not to be mad at yourself, and certainly try not to beat yourself up. Try not to, we've mentioned over and over again the book, like What to Say When You Talk to Yourself by Shad Homestetter. It really is important to not talk to yourself in a mean way, and to try not to be mad at yourself. Take in what you've done and move on. And because just being angry with yourself, saying mean things to yourself, is an added source of stress that will likely lead you back to eating more.
Eating more.
It's a terrible circle. So instead, work on talking to yourself like you would talk to a loved one that you were trying to encourage to improve, or to get over being upset at themselves about something. I mean, sometimes I would talk to myself in a way that if somebody was talking like that to someone I cared about, I would never let that happen and never stand for it. So why should I talk to myself about that? Because I do care about myself. And if you care about yourself, which you really should do, why would you be mean to yourself at the same time?
Exactly. What was the doctor's name? I actually don't remember. I'm not trying to be
Shad Homestetter.
No, the author of this article.
Oh, Alex Korb.
Okay, so I'm imagining Dr. Alex Korb. Like we know what an exorcist looks like, cloaked in black, kind of like a goth situation.
Kind of, yeah.
Right, with a bucket of whatever.
Yeah.
So, so this guy, what is his name again?
Alex Korb.
Alex Korb, which I've already remembered and forgotten.
Yeah.
Okay, so he comes in, and instead of a Bible, he's holding What to Say When You Talk to Yourself.
Oh, yeah.
And then instead of holy water, he's just drink a bottle of water, buddy. You'll be fine. But he's kind of more like gentle, like, hey, let's work on this together. Don't be mean.
But his dark secret is that he also has a human brain in a pouch that he's not letting you see. Yeah.
That's great. Where that is not founded in fact.
Oh, Dr. Korb does not carry an actual human brain around?
No, he doesn't.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Okay, so the last one, and I actually really like this one. I thought about doing a whole episode on it, but it's not very spooky, so I'm not going to. He talks about amuse-bouche. That's right. We're using more French words. Amuse-bouche means keeping your mouth occupied, keeping it entertained. We often eat, and there are actually, science tells us, this guy tells us, that we habitually like to eat things. We like things to keep our mouths entertained, chewing on something, crunching something, sipping something. And when we get that habitual desire to snack, we can replace that with something else. Like I said, chew on a straw. Some cool guys chew on it, like if you're in a Western.
Oh, that toothpick thing? Oh my God. I can't look at that.
You don't?
I can't look at someone with it, like who just carries a toothpick. I'm just like constantly thinking that they're going to like bump into something and that toothpick's going straight back into their throat and they're choking to death.
I just thought it would get soggy after a while, but
yeah, that too.
But we want to keep our mouths entertained because we are habituated to that, and a lot of times we just snack about it. So he suggests chewing gum, drinking a refreshing 0-calorie beverage. I know I do that a lot.
Yeah.
Some minty, brush your teeth. That can keep your mouth entertained. Carrots without the high calorie dipping sauces. But a lot of times, like when I'm cooking, that instinct to just like, oh, I want to taste this, I want to do that, and suddenly you've eaten a whole half a portion of something already by just trying it out. So he talks about cutting up veggies, and snacking on that to keep your mouth entertained instead of going to those high calorie options. And I know that this is a big one for me. Again, it gets back to that boredom, habituation, and also food tastes really good, but we can take a break. We don't have to make caloric mistakes just because they're available to us.
Yeah, and he talks about how, look, I don't necessarily want to absolve myself of all responsibility, but he talks about how the basal ganglia, like that part of the brain, actually wants to keep your mouth busy. It's sort of an innate impulse in ourselves to keep our mouths busy. So I know Catherine just said it all, but instead of keeping your mouth busy with food, keep it busy with something else.
Yeah, or recording delightful podcasts.
Delightful podcasts.
We can't eat anything.
Never stop talking. We really cannot eat while we're podcasting. If we just continually podcast, we'll never overeat.
That is the trick. So look back at all of our delightful suggestions that we have given you through the conduit of Dr.
Alex Korb. Rhymes with orb, which is also a word for brain or something.
And so think about your arsenal against that snacksercism that you are possessed by, or that you feel like you're possessed by. So what can you do? Can you calm down a little bit? Just check those emotions. Can you distract yourself? Can you recognize that you're just trying to procrastinate and maybe pull away from that? Can you avoid temptation by just not having it around? Maybe don't get mad at yourself, buddy. Be a good chum to yourself and don't be a jerk. Keep your mouth busy by creating a delightful and inspiring podcast with over 350 episodes and over 1.7 million downloads. I actually looked the other day. We have recorded over 5,000 hours.
Is that true?
I think it was between recording and the spending time, the time podcasting and then the time editing and writing. All of it was 5,000 hours.
Wow.
So just have a podcast, everybody. That's our final tip of the day. Make yourself a podcast.
Well, and speaking of podcasts, we have done many episodes on other ways to help you avoid snacking. Things like the P's that we've talked about, the P words we've talked about a lot lately. The Carby Girl, the only burgers in the building, lots
Walt
of other
Place After Dark.
Walt Place After Dark.
That was my favorite episode that we've ever done.
So thank you so much for listening to this episode of the podcast. But check out some of the others, and you can do that. The most recent 300 episodes are available on all of the major podcast platforms. Chances are, wherever you found this one, they are also available. Or you can go back and listen from episode number 1 all the way back to the beginning on YouTube or on our website at weonlylookthin.com.
Yep, and if you are at weonlylookthin.com, you can click on that link for Join Our Support Group to find out more about Walt Place. We Only Look Thin Place is our Facebook-based accountability group for women. We are not a weight loss plan, but we are a place for fellowship and support and accountability and just super duper honest chat about what is challenging us, where we can succeed together. So much of this is about mindset, not necessarily how many calories we're eating, but how we think about food. And I am super proud of the group. We do weekly Zoom meetings. There's lots of ways to connect. So if you're interested, again, go to our website. We have 2 subscription options, a monthly subscription with a 3-day complimentary trial and a 3-month subscription with a 7-day complimentary trial to see if Walt Place is right for you.
Yeah, and if you are on one of Catherine's Zooms and you're talking on that Zoom, that also is a way that you can avoid snacking at the same time. Also, you can engage with us on social media. We are at We Only Look Thin on Instagram and Facebook, or you can send us an email if you have an episode suggestion. If you have a suggestion for us on how you avoid snacking or cut down on snacking or manage your snacking better, we would like to hear from you. And you can send that or just some compliments. Just say hello to weonlylookthin@gmail.com.
Yep, and speaking of compliments, could you head over to Apple Podcast and leave us a rating and a review? Not only does it let us know that what we're doing after all these years is making a difference in your life, but it also just makes us feel really good. It also, one more thing, I guess electricity happens and Apple is like, hey, listen to them. Other people do. And that's what they say. So go to Apple. There's like
your understanding of algorithms is astonishing to me.
No, it is very academic.
For someone who never took a computer science class,
I did.
You really have it down.
No, I did take one. I did actually. But no, it helps in the algorithms. It helps boost our ratings and boosts our mood. So yeah, go over there, do that.
Yeah, we have a 4.9 star rating on Apple Podcasts. Let's see if we can get that back up to 5.
I don't know. We got a couple of like 1 stars back, and I'm like, okay, I think I can name them by name who my haters are.
People, like 2 people with no sense of humor gave us 1 star back in the day. So if you could do that, it would really help us out. Another way you could really help us out is just tell somebody about the show. Word of mouth really does help us. It really does help the show grow. It is an easy way for you to tell somebody about the show, to keep your mouth occupied,
lose your boosh,
and to help us grow. If you are in a conversation, if you are on a Facebook group, a Reddit group, a Discord server, something to do with weight loss and fitness, and you give us a shout out, it really does help the show grow.
It sure does.
So if you are now considering chewing on some basal ganglia in order to keep your mouth occupied, please instead just remember that Catherine and I are an inspiration. Brains.
Wait, what was that dog? Okay, it's Alex Orbital.
Corb. Rhymes with orb.
Orbital.
Yeah. The information that you hear on this podcast is for informational purposes only. The hosts are not medical professionals. You should always consult with your doctor, nurse, or other certified health professional before beginning any diet or fitness program.